What's up, YouTube? It's OllieBeanz from iFreaking Love This, and today we're going to talk about griefing. Now, griefing's a touchy subject. We're going to be taking a deep, hard look inside and find out, am I a griefer? You know, could I possibly be one of those evil people? So let's first describe what griefing is. Let's take a look at Wikipedia's definition of griefing. Griefing is the act of chronically causing consternation to other members of an online community, or more specifically, intentionally disrupting the immersion of another player in their gameplay using aspects of the game in unintended ways. And they list off a couple of examples here, right? Because that definition isn't very clear to me, right? It is to some degree, but it doesn't really fall with what I've considered griefing is, right? So let's take a look here. We've got intentional friendly fire. That's griefing, right? 100%. We've got colluding with opponents. 100% griefing. Giving false information to your teammates. That's griefing. Using a cheat repeatedly on the same opponent. Definitely griefing. Those are pretty clear cut, right? But they go into some other examples that I think more highlight that the definition of griefing really varies across the board. The same Wikipedia page lists these as griefing: spamming a voice or text chat channel to inconvenience, harass, or annoy other players. Uploading offensive or explicit images to profile pictures, in-game sprays, and or skins. Kill stealing, which is denying the other player the satisfaction or gain of killing a target that should have been theirs. Now, I could just maybe have the wrong definition of griefing that I've kind of gone by in my daily, everyday game, but these don't feel as cut and dry as the ones previous, right? Spamming voice text, that's spamming, right? That's not griefing, because spamming isn't griefing. Now, if it's to annoy a player and to harass them, I guess then, that's where that part becomes a little bit more clear, right? But I think a lot of people throw the term griefer around way too often, and we'll be looking at some, specific game examples in a moment here. And then uploading offensive or explicit images to profile pictures. Now, and, in-game sprays, skins. Now, while that definitely doesn't foster a healthy, safe environment, especially for underage players, right? I still wouldn't define it as griefing unless you're uploading something to harass a player, right? You're using that skin in an unintended ways to harass another player. Say we have player A and player B, right? Player A uploads a skin that says player B sucks or something, right? I don't want to get into too many attacks here because people can get pretty ruthless in games. We all know it. Then I would consider that griefing. But based off this Wikipedia page, just saying uploading offensive or explicit images, while that's, lowbrow, right, and kind of unnecessary, well, not kind of, but unnecessary, especially for a safe environment for kids that are playing the game, I don't think that qualifies as griefing. Now, of course, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, right? I'm expecting this to be a little bit of a heated topic, right? And kill stealing, right? I don't know about you folks, right? But in most games, and please give me some examples below, just because I can't really think of any, with kill stealing, it's not that much of an issue, at least not so much that it could be qualified as griefing, right? Let's use any Call of Duty or similar FPS game, right? And say team deathmatch, right? You're just shooting at the opposite team. You're gonna get some kills stolen here or there just because you didn't provide the bulk of the damage or that final shot, depending on how the game calculates it. But that happens. That's just par for the course, right? It's really tough in Call of Duty to go around and try to kill steal specifically, right? And I mean, even I will, just by playing, will unintentionally steal, other teammates' kills. And it just happens, right? We're all firing at the same enemies, right? Sometimes you're not going to get the kill. And even if so, I still wouldn't consider that griefing, right? I can't think of a good game example. So again, maybe put an example down below if you can think of a game where kill stealing really is a problem, especially so much so that it rises to the level of griefing. Let's step away from Wikipedia for a moment here, right? let's use a couple of games as an example, right? We have Escape from Tarkov, right? Escape from Tarkov, if you don't know it, it's a fantastic game. It's really unforgiving. It doesn't hold your hand, right? The object of the game is you spawn in with your character who has very low quality, weapons and resources, and you spawn in on a map with the sole intention of getting resources as your primary goal, right? Getting kills can be a secondary goal, right? If you want to kill somebody and then loot their body for resources, right? And so I'll hear a lot of times on, social media like Reddit, Facebook, other places where people are like, oh, I was griefed in Tarkov today. Okay, what happened, right? Did somebody, on your team intentionally shoot you? Somebody you grouped up with, right? Because no real teams, but you can, group up with people and just, kind of a verbal agreement. No, I spawned in on the map, and right before I got out of the zone, I got killed. One-shot headshot. That's the fucking game. That's not griefing, right? That's just somebody else saying, hey, I want to get resources, but I also want to get kills and then loot their body, thereby also focusing on getting resources. Right? Now, don't get me wrong. If you went to like a Discord or anywhere else where you met up somebody, right? Most likely a stranger would do this to you, not your friends. Or if your friends did it, you might take it a little better. And they're like, hey, let's go out together. Right? And, we'll have each other's backs. And then you guys loot a bunch of stuff and then poof, they cap you and take your loot. That's griefing, right? I still personally think that's somewhat funny to a degree, right? Because again, people, remember, this is a video game here, right? But I completely understand, right, where other people, you spent a lot of time getting those materials, getting those resources, and you got screwed over by your partner. That's definitely griefing. Getting shot and with the mechanics as the game intended is definitely not griefing, though, right? Somebody, even in Tarkov, if the person that killed you has top tier, essentially end game weapons and armor and everything else, and they kill you and it's your first day, that's still not griefing, right? Even if that same scenario and the guy is just sitting there waiting at one of the extraction points, right? And there's multiple extraction points, right? That's still not griefing, right? That's not what you would consider camping, right? I mean, I guess you would in the Vegas sense of the term, right? But a lot of times camping is really equivalent with spawn camping, right? That, I would say, is a little bit more like griefing, right? But camping on a game fully maxed out in head to toe gear at the extraction point, when the people who are going to be extracting have gotten some resources and you kill them and take their resources, that's not griefing. That's playing the game. Let's use another game as an example, right? Let's use the main game I play, Elite Dangerous. The term griefer gets thrown around a lot in Elite Dangerous, and I mean a lot, right? And let's set the stage here a little bit, right? Elite Dangerous is a spaceship simulator, essentially, right? Where you have various spaceships, and it's essentially there's three superpowers that are in a constant state of war, right? Now, Elite's a huge game, right? There's 400 billion star systems to explore, some with planets, some without, right? And it's a 2-scale mock-up of the Milky Way galaxy, right? That's a lot of freaking real estate, right? And in order to get more of a community feel or an online multiplayer feel, they do something called community goals or CGs, right? And sometimes called initiatives when they're strung together and stuff like that. And these serve to be a pivotal point, right? And during the game for that week, right? And in the game, you'll have, okay, it's the Empire versus the Federation, and you've got to haul for one side or the other, right, goods to a station, right? And many times these stations will be in the same system or other systems, right? And that's good for trade players, right? Somebody who likes trading in the game, who likes just, hauling and getting cargo and dropping it off. That's a great way for them to be involved in the game as a whole and try to drive the story forward, right? But then on the other hand, say if that's the goal for the week, and you've got other players that are more combat focused, like myself, right? They're not going to sit there and deliver a bunch of cargo, but they can still help in the goal by camping the other, the opponent system or station if they're in the same system, and killing all the traders trying to drop off their cargo. That is accepted gameplay, right? That is how the game was meant to be played. But every week or every day, you'll have people that are saying, oh, I was at the CG, the community goal, in my shieldless Type 9, right? Which is, not having a shield at a community goal where most of the players are going to be, or at least, a good portion of them, right? Having no shield probably isn't the best idea. And they'll be like, I got blown up in 2 seconds, right? I got griefed, right? Now, while it may have ruined your time in the game, right? You feel like your time was ruined. It's no longer fun for you. I completely understand that. It's not fun to lose, right? But in games, there is a win and a lose, right? And you chose to, whether you're in a shieldless ship or not really doesn't matter with, the conversation, but I'm just showing you the extremes these kind of posts go to. That's not griefing, right? Now, there's starter systems in Elite Dangerous, right? And people recently posted videos about, camping the starter systems of Elite Dangerous and blowing up newbies as they spawn in their ships. And I would consider that griefing, right? I still wouldn't think it makes the person a bad person by doing it, right? They might just be bored in the game. Who knows, right? And some people might have, other personality traits that are, unsavory, right? And maybe you have issues, right? And that's what forces them, not forces, and that's why they do that, right? But the vast majority of people are just in a game where you can either be hauling cargo or you can be shooting people, and they choose to shoot people, right? And now, the people accusing people of being griefers in Elite Dangerous, the vast majority of them will go lower than the actual griefer or accused griefer did, right? I'm going to post some screenshots on screen. I'm not going to be reading them out, and I am going to be blocking out the really severe parts of the words, but I think you can put 2 and 2 together. Attacking a person's character for how they choose to play a video game that they spend their hard-earned money on, it is never taking the high road, right? It never makes the situation better, right? Even if the person is a griefer, right? And I know so far I've been kind of pointing out situations where they're not a griefer, but there are many griefers in a lot of games, right? People there for the sole purpose of ruining somebody else's experience and using mechanics in unintended ways to do so, right? Like cheating, right? In Elite Dangerous, cheating, right? If somebody is cheating and they have full shield, their shields never go down and things like that, yeah, that person's a griefer, right? That person should not be playing that game, right? It's not fair. It's not right. But if somebody chooses to play the combat portion of a game and you're choosing the trade portion and you're in the place where the combat people are congregating, what do you think's going to happen? Right? Do you think they're going to somehow know that you're not prepared? Well, I guess if you're shieldless, they know you're not prepared. But, you're kind of learning a lesson there, right? To come prepared to your environments, right? And let's talk about Tarkov again for a little bit on that too, right? With Tarkov, right? When you first get the game, right, you don't have many resources, right? But you are capable, right? With strategy, taking your time. Tarkov's not a game where you run through the center of the map, right? You want to be on the outskirts of the map, right? Where your back is facing, the areas, the borders, right? If you're not doing that, if you're just running around, right? And mind you, most new people aren't going to get that strategy yet, right? If they're coming from Call of Duty or even Battlefield or, ARMA players are going to fare better in Tarkov, at least that mentality will, right? That's a mistake you're making, right? And by dying, you're learning from that mistake, right? But a lot of times the person isn't actually grieving. All right, and now let's come to the big question. Am I a griefer, right? I guess that depends on your definition of the word griefer, right? In Elite Dangerous, if you're the guy in a Type 9 with no shields, that's an Empire player, and since I'm a Federation player, right, we're arch nemesis, right, and we're enemies, right, I'm going to shoot you every time. It's the way I play the game that I paid hard-earned money for, right? I am that person in that frag mamba, at the CG, killing all the people trying to complete that CG. Now, I personally will only do that if it's an empire or an alliance or, a non-federation CG or something I disagree with, right? I stay within that role play aspect of it. I'm not a heavy role player in it, right? But that doesn't mean to say that other people aren't role playing a psychopath, right? There actually used to be NPCs in Elite Dangerous called psychopaths, right? And it was actually on the website. And so now there's a thin line there, right? And there are some times, right, where I'll be just bored that day, right? And I will see a ship and it'll be marked with power play pledge to, Aisling Duval, which is an Empire power in Elite Dangerous. And there'll be a very low combat rank. And you want to know something? Sometimes I'm and I shoot that person down, right? But does that mean I'm a griefer, right? Why don't you folks let me know in the comments below? Be honest, right? I'm not going to take offense to it, right? Unless you're out there calling people names, unless you're out there, I can't even say the words that a lot of people say when they're accusing griefers, right? Now, in Escape from Tarkov, I don't play it too often. I've actually gotten frustrated by the game a little bit, right? And so I'm definitely not a griefer in that game, but probably only for a lot of people that, lean towards a more vague definition of a griefer, is because I just can't, right? I don't have the resources, the know-how. I'm busy getting resources to be camping and risk dying, right? I'm just jumping into Tarkov, getting resources and getting the heck out of Dodge, right? But when I die on my way out, it's happened during stream plenty of times. Oh! Oh no! You son of a... You dirty... Oh! Woo! Right? I'm not upset at that person. Right? And I do feel a lot of people are getting too upset with games and the way the mechanics are supposed to be played, and they're ruining the game for themselves, right? I think Tarkov and Elite Dangerous are perfect examples of this, right? There was a Reddit post last week where somebody made a chart on what's acceptable to engage in combat with people. And the first thing they said is they called all gankers, right? And said that if you do this, you're a bad person, essentially, right? That's not how the world works, right? The way somebody chooses to play a video game that they paid their hard-earned money for, that falls within the mechanics of the game, as well as the developer of the game, as approved gameplay.
Things are going wrong. You're making things go wrong for other people. All of these things, in the traditional way you do within the league.
That's not griefing. It never will be. That person will never be an solely on that action. Now, plenty of people are, right? So that person might also be one, but not because of that's how they chose to play a game. So again, to circle back to whether I'm a griefer, sometimes I am. Sometimes I get a little bored in a game and I'll shoot somebody. I'm never doing it with cheats. I'm never doing it repeatedly to ruin that person's experience. But yeah, I'll be flying around in my Mamba or my FDL sometimes, and I'll see somebody and I'll come up with a reason to shoot them down. But that's, again, within the gameplay of the game. Now, with the vaguer definition, or the people that really get, somewhat triggered by actions in game, by losing, essentially, they're going to think I'm a griefer a lot more often than others, right? And I have to disagree, right? And especially with some of the names they call me. I've had people send me pictures from the Boston Marathon bombing of bodies from it, because they knew I knew people that were hurt in that bombing, and because they lost a war to our group in Elite Dangerous, a war they were excited for at the beginning, right, and calling me a griefer and stuff like that. That's going too far, right? That's going way past the person playing the game how it was meant to be played, which is what I was doing. All right, so we've determined that depends on the way that you define griefer. I either am one or I'm not, right? Now ask yourself, are you a griefer? Let us know in the comments below, right? Do you take pride in blowing up, harmless and mostly harmless ships in Elite Dangerous? Are you camping the extraction points in Tarkov? And or are you going around team killing in games like Call of Duty and Battlefield? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, maybe like the video, maybe even subscribe and hit that bell to be notified of when I put out new content. If you ever have any questions or you want to call me a dirty griefer, I do stream 3 nights a week on Twitch. Currently Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. The best thing to do is just drop a follow. I'll put that link in the description below, and you'll be notified of when I go live. I'm OllieBeanz for My Freaking Love This. I'll see you in the next video. Be good to each other.